Good afternoon, everyone. Switch double here. What a shocker! Yeah, I normally don't stream like this early. Um, since let's say I was bored and yeah, and asking some of my friends, they probably won't even join in since why? Hmm. Mostly because most of my friends are in fact in America, and yeah, they're like different time zones over there, so I think at least Game Guy is probably still asleep by next point. He usually gets up around I don't know 2 3 p.m. So yeah, I yeah, like I said, I'm bored and I have no idea what else to do. So yeah, I've just decided why not do a little bit of streaming out of blue, which is out of character for me since I don't usually stream in the middle of the week like this. Most of the time I stream either Friday or Saturday. Sometimes it had happened like on a Monday or a Wednesday, but it's rare that I do that. Oh, Ron is here.
Yo, what's up,
What's up?
homie?
Not much. A little bit bored. I mean, yeah, I wasn't a little bit. I wasn't felt up to do anything else. I was so bored. So I was like, why not do some stream once in a while? So I wasn't sure how many hours I had left, so I did check that first, and it was actually at least a few hours. Your birthday was in November, so your birthday is in November,
September.
September. Sorry. Yeah, I have no idea what to do for that for story unless you have any requests for a story.
Hmm.
Trust me, it is a lot of shippings out there, both on G5 and G4. So give or take. There are so many of those, especially within the G4. Oh man, G4 has like what? At least on Derby Borrow, it is like over 200,000 shippings. Oh, well, you know, both based on all those 200 plus described shippings of those, there are some that's without a doubt not never happened since some of them are crazy. Like rare to be dating is giant boulder, like a rock. And how in the heck do you even do that? Or some other questionable, like somewhere Twilight and her brother or anything like that. So that without a doubt's not happening either.
I can see that. I
Yeah,
can see that.
uh, Nagato from Azure Lane. Huh.
Yep. Fox Girl.
Azure, is that an anime by any chance?
Yep. Azulane is an anime of Shape Girls.
Hmm. I actually never heard of that one before. So yeah, I'm had I can't guarantee if it will be that. That's for your story. It's just um first I mean to look more into that and then I will decide if I will be doing that and though but yeah, in fact there is one anime that I did see a little bit about a couple of years ago. It was very unlike many others. It was in like in high school environment. There was this new teacher, like a male young teacher. I cannot say that he's freshly out of college, I believe, maybe, or university. But the thing is, the school was only about girls. But this high school, every single female student wasn't actually a person. They were actually guns. They were weapons. Like some of them were like I don't know, a sniper rifle, normal rifle, or something like that. Why were they making a show that's actually about the guns, but those guns are being portrayed as living humans? I don't know why. It's just weird. Um, so I didn't see full of that episode series though. I was just yeah, I was a little bit confused on that one. Heyo, Jump Street Boy. Hello. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of animes over the years, but the only fact, a handful that I only had heard about but never actually watched. There is one. What was the name again? Full Alchemy Metal, I believe. It was about these two brothers. One is in this like a armored suit for a long time, and when he uh, eventually restored back to life, but he has no memories of him being in this armor.
Fullmetal
Dragon
Alchemist.
Ball, yeah, that one. I haven't seen that one, but I know Lisa. Where I heard about it and read about it a little bit. But Dragon Ball, that depends on which one. There is from what I understand, there are like a few different ones. Um, but don't let even talk about the live action Dragon Ball movie though. Um, Beat, I only seen like small part of that one, and believe me, it was so boring. But that is just well, mostly that how live actions. Um, I mean, making a live action of one from an original anime, it isn't given the same emotions. You know, it's not the same spirit or the same feeling. But Dragon Ball. Hmm, I did watch a little Dragon Ball years ago, like 20 plus years ago. It was like,
Uh-huh.
um, I actually, I only did see a little bit about it. I think it was only on VHS long time ago. But other than that, no, not really much for. Dragon Ball was not my. I mean, even though I like anime, but there are some anime series that's doesn't really caught my attention or even speaks to me much. So Dragon Ball was never much a fan of mine, but I admit, even though I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, but I admit the show has a great animation, designs of the characters, and very intriguing. With the Saiyans can go super, kind of how do like the Sonic when Silver or Shadow when they go super. But there is a few others of the anime that I have seen just a little bit. I only seen like two episodes of Naruto. They're from the first two of the very first series they made. But yeah, it wasn't really much my thing to be watching though, honestly. Um, but I have read a little bit about the characters. I know the fact that Naruto had this nine-tailed fox spirit locked inside of him, and
Uh-huh.
for what the series he was able to somehow unleash that spirit, and that before that he was somehow and that spirit caused huge trouble in the world, and uh, and he somehow even ended up marrying her name Hinata, which has somehow strangely had become like an sexy sex icon for that particular series. Many fans probably prefer even Hinata over Sakura. Some people think that Sakura is more. immature, more like a tomboy, and while Hinata, which has more a feminine figure. And I don't try to argue on which one is to be preferred. It just since I haven't much seen Naruto series much myself, and but I have watched a list about a handful episode of My Hero Academia, and it was interesting. It was interesting, but I stopped like after 7 episodes like that. In the end, to me, it was a bit. The concept was a bit strange. Like suddenly, how random people get their powers, like the quirks, as what they're called, as the Almighty. How he looks like how to say like a giant bodybuilder style with this power and all. But and when he gave just one piece of his own hair to this boy who was not born with the quirks, but he wanted to be one of those superheroes. And even just one single hair from the Almighty, he gave the boy at least a slight boost of power. But from what I understand, in the end, Almighty somehow fully retires, and he gave up all his powers and all that. And but I haven't seen much of that show though. But there have been several anime over the years that I really enjoyed, like the very original Sailor Moon back in the 90s. Even though they're more and more like a girl show than a boy show, but I actually enjoyed it. It was not bad. I seen the reboot Sailor Moon Crystal. It was a bit similar to back in the original, but there was some difference. But I actually enjoyed it. But my
Same with
top
me with watching one Metapony.
Malopony, actually has seen since they have made now 5 generations, but I only seen 3 of them. I started watching G3 back in I think mid to late 90s, but that point, but that time, G3 actually had only been had ended. So but I started watching G4 not when they were first released in 2010. I wasn't even aware of the show until like 2013 or 2014. So the show was in the third and fourth season when I came full aware of it. But I wasn't even a fan back then either. I mean, I wasn't like a fan until like 2015 when I first started doing my stories. Even though even though stories wasn't originally supposed to be at this long term, they were only short made for just only the main 6 and some background characters. But people started asking me to do more and more stories, so I kept doing it. And by next year, I have been doing my life stories for 10 years. So in a full decade. And I can say right now, despite how many people had asked me stories for the past almost 9 years, I had only scratched the surface of all the stories that I have been asked. What do you think about Forax and Ember ship? Well, to be honest, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad shipping. I actually like the idea of Amber and Forax to be as a story. But yeah, but if I had to say it, my favorite anime of all time is Sword Art Online. You cannot deny that is a good show. I mean, it's pretty good. Oh, bye, Brony. Um, for other shippings, for I had in mind many more to do. um, but there are some shippings that on Derpy Borough, which is questionable, like big
Sorry about that.
questionable. That's okay. Um, Um, but some of the most, like I said, some of the shippings when it's on Derpy Borough is highly questionable. There can be some like Big Macintosh with Sweetie Belle. I mean, Big Macintosh can be made in the story for both Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo, but as true friend, not as a true love, because it would have been questionable of that. Though I can say two things. I actually made similar to that when I made Sakura with Apple Bloom. And yeah, well, let's say from this is that even though I didn't make them fall in love right away, Apple Bloom was in her. I think Apple Bloom was at least 18 or 20 years old when she started dating Sakura in my story, not before that. Same thing as for Peep Squeak and Luna. Luna's 1,000 years old, and in the beginning of the story, Peep Squeak is like 10 or 12. But he didn't start dating Luna until he was in his 20s. And if people like, hey, how about this? They shouldn't even be dating. Despite he's 20 years old, she is the 1,000 years old. There's a huge age gap. Well, I can give you one other example that would not be even considered also pretty bad one then. Fluttershy with Discord. Why would I say that? Well, Discord is 1,000 years old. Fluttershy is 20 years old. So, same thing. People, the same thing there. So, you're saying. Sombra Chrysalis. Hmm. You know, I actually had. I believe I actually had done Sombra. Let's see. I mean, I had done a few Sombra stories. Um, good see here. Wow, about 15 stories that has involved Sombra. There is one about Chrysalis that I did meet a few years ago. With another fan made character, Flufflepuff. This uh pink furry pony-like creature or something like that, and she doesn't even talk. The only sound that Flufflepuff make is literally farts the sound with her tongue, like that. That's only she does as a sound how she communicate. It's kind of interesting to see. Sombra with Chrysalis. Um, actually, I had done that story. That story was actually Sombra and Chrysalis. I actually made that back in 2016. So that was probably one of the few first stories I actually done. And I had done with Twilight and Sombra, Luna with Sombra, Fluttershy Sombra, Elegant, which is a fan made character, Crystal Dawn, same thing. She is also fan character. I also did a fan story, a true friend story between Sombra and Shining Armor. Oh, about Shining Armor, I should mention this. About a couple of days ago, Kuvu, one of my friends, he searched for Kuvu MLP. He literally found um, Kuvu's lion body with somehow with shining armor's head onto it, like Kuvu's lion body while shining armor's pony head on that body. I was like, what the what the oh man, that was weird. Art sometimes can be pretty weird. Sip and Hitch from G5. You know, I actually hadn't even made that story yet, but it eventually will be. I just don't know when. It. I have so many stories in mind, and Sometimes one story can be more top priority from others. It happens that if I'm either overworked or stressed or depressed or something like that, so I literally put all the stories to the side, every single one. Though I should say this, depression, from my case, it's not a joke. It happens to me every single year during the winter times, actually. And I don't take any medicine for my depression. Never had, never will. Since I actually have came up with my own treatments for that, and which is talk to my friends, watch a good movie or so, TV show, something like that I like, and listen to good music. That usually helps. But my depression can happen also in the summer. Well, depend on what it happens. But Sip and Hitch. Hmm. Well, I didn't. I should also say this. When G5 first came out back in 2020, I didn't do any G5 love stories. Even when the first movie came out, I didn't do any love stories or true friend stories at the time, and for a good reason for that. Since even though we only one movie, and their limit, there was a limit of how to even though I saw the characters interact throughout the entire movie, but they was just about mainly about the main characters. There were not much interactions of the different other characters in the background, like Sip and Pip's mother, Queen Haven, or anything like that. There were not much interaction of the other different background characters. But the funniest thing of the first movie they made, how the Pegasus honestly believed by putting a tennis ball on Izzy's horn, believing that would block out the magic. Believe me, that was the stupidest belief. I mean, even though they weren't a tennis ball, if they what if they put, I don't know, an apple or an orange? Yeah. So, but the Earth Pole is how the Pegasus guards said about Sunny when they first met her, is that they don't have to be worrying about the Earth ponies because their brains were too small, like referring them to be stupid. And I may have to say it's pre-understanding why they all believe in this. Is that the Pegasus had even interacted with the Earth ponies or the unicorns in over centuries. So it is understanding how their general belief of each one of the kinds. It's like yeah, and it's like unicorns believe that the Earth ponies smell like fish, and that the Pegasus were eating their own young children, or something like that. And I honestly couldn't honestly believe any of that. Though, but considering of how much the J5 was in the production, at the were originally that the whole movie where Sunny and Hitch were supposed to be living were in fact Ponyville. The whole idea was that this movie were set to not take place in Maritime Bay, but in Ponyville. But the Ponyville that we know of would have not been the same. The whole town would have been divided by huge walls. One section could either just be for about Earth ponies, one for Unicorn, and one for Pegasus. And there are many wonders what happened to the rest of Equestria during this time. Well, at least one city that we know, which has confirmed. The main capital, Candelot, is entirely abandoned. It is in ruins. Well, technically, the only one that lives there is Discord. Yeah, but apparently Discord is still alive, even after a few hundred more years. So I say he is immortal, and yeah, and there were in fact some questions about the question about the alicorn's immortality back in G4. Well, we know for one small detail is that when Flurry Heart was born, she was stated as the only natural born alicorn because both Luna and Celestia they pointing out there has never been anything like that in the past of Equestria's history, and it makes sense because in a previous Journal of the Royal Sisters, which is an actual book, stating that Luna and Celestia wasn't born in Equestria, but they were born in the homeland of that they originally came from. And turned out that was right. Because in G5, that homeland was known as Skyros, the home the home of the alicorns. So that the question is Luna Celestia still alive in G5? Well, I have an answer for that. It's a big yes. Because there's one other that was born around the same time as both the sisters, Opaline. Opaline was also from Skyros. She was around the same age. And if she is the same age, and she is still much alive, even G5, she claims that she was immortal. So why wouldn't Celestia Luna also been alive, even G5? I mean, if Opaline is born around the same time as his sisters, so why wouldn't she? I think it's possibility that they are, but it's also possible that neither Celestia or Luna may not even be in Inquestia anymore. They might have just left. I mean, after all, they retired. They retired from being the rulers. So now they have all the time in the world to do what they wanted to do. Even though they did take a vacation day from in back in season 9 of G4. So why wouldn't they be now traveling around the world? So I know for a fact that Luna and Celestia are still alive in G5, but the main question is where are they? Will we ever see them? First, I may have answers of both of that. Where they are, we have which is basically unknown. They can be anywhere in the world. They can be in Saudi Arabia. They can be in Meritonia, which is an actual place in the series. They can even be in Dragonlands. Who knows? But the second one, will we see them? No, I don't think so. I honestly believe we will never see them. They were mentioned, or even at least seen, back in make. Both Luna and Celestia were in fact seen in G5 in Make You Mark series. Only once, but that's it. Big Mac and Sakura has a love story. I may, I believe I already had that one. Let's go see here. Oh, I have total of 11 stories based on that one. Let's go see here. Big Mac. Yep. Big Mac and Sakura is made, and that was actually made back in 2017. So that story is also made. um, but here's another thing about what I did notice is that in the final episode of G4, When Spike was walking in the front room, we can see different other glass stained windows. Some of them actually were Twilight and her friends. Some of them actually have been there from the season 1 or season 2, but some others were not. They were added to the castle much later on. One I can immediately tell you that's about Flurry Heart. And it looks when Flurry was even older, and I presume that when she was taking over the throne in the Crystal Empire. And the second one is the Young Six: Silverstream, Gallus, Jonah, Sandbar, Osalis, and Smolder. How the Young Six were on the glass window, I was just like, whoa, 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 back up, back up. In order to get to be on the glass window like that, you have to done something good, something terrific, like saving Equestria level or something. I mean, just look at how when the Bane 6 defeated Discord first time and others. So why not? Then I did notice in the same window with the Young Six, they were standing or at least above something. Like it looked to be as some sort of creature. And what kind of creature was that? I have no idea. It looked to be almost like it could have been a rhino, or at least in the description. But it might even been like maybe a fire beast or some kind. But there has never been mentioned, or at least a scene or indirectly reference of any kind of a monster or a beast in that description throughout the entire G4. And I remember that even back in G3, there were in fact at least a handful of bad guys that has been presented back in G4, like Scorpion, Tyrek, Smoosh, Grugar. Even though Grugar was in the J4 turned out to be just Discord in disguise. But that Grugar didn't look much different from the G3 version. The only difference between the Smoosh, this slime creature from G5, from G4 to G3, is that in G3 he had eyes and he was purple, and in the G5, in G4 he was green and did not have any eyes, and he wasn't even a bad guy. In fact, he was an old friend to um, he was an old friend to Discord. And Tyrek in G3, he wasn't really the bad guy. It turned out he was a human prince that had been magically transformed into Tyrek. So some of the bad guys from G3 had ended up in G4. And if they were going to do Griffins have cutie marks, it should have been Gallus to get one or to get it. Actually, not a bad idea. I did notice in G5 that there were in fact several different characters throughout that was even back in G4 that didn't make no sense because dragons in G4 didn't have cutie marks, but the dragons in G5 like Jade, Lava, Fountain, and others, they in fact had a cutie mark. Lily had a cutie mark or some sort. But the only difference, two dragons did not have one. That was Spike and Sparky. So while the rest of the other dragons in G5 had some form of cutie mark, while back in G4 they didn't. But I did also find out one thing that Zebras is back in G5 in comics so far. And another small thing is that two of the zebras that did mentioned in a comic, which I think is canon, those two was a mother and a daughter. And get this, those two zebras, in fact, had cutie marks. Two zebras in G5 has cutie marks. Back in G4, there are no zebras that hasn't even a cutie mark. I'm really surprised of any of that. And I did notice back in the first movie the fact that the pony characters only had only one cutie mark, not two, just one. And it turned out that was on purpose. I was really surprised of any of that. And there are always many questions about the based on from the first beginning of the G5, um like Argyle, Sonny's father. We know that he passed away at some point, just before Sonny met Issy and all that, but we don't know exactly how or when. They never mentioned that in a reference. Only like Saint stating that he is dead, but they never explained how, why. But the other question is, what about her mother? Well, there were no reference about her mother in G4 or G5 in the Make You Mark at all. But there were in fact one small there was not like I don't know. The only photograph of any of Sunny's family was her father Olga. No grandparents, no mother, but but Sunny's mother has finally appeared in Tell Your Tale series on YouTube. But yeah, something about that is that her actual name wasn't even revealed. We know for a fact her mother was alive when she was just still as a filly. And it turned out she believed in the stories of the main six and that the Ponykind were friends at one point, like Argyle. But one at a time when Sunny was still as a baby, Sunny's mother left. Not because that she wasn't divorcing anything. Sunny's mother went on a journey. She was looking for something. She was looking for something that perhaps could bring back the magic. Somehow, because she and Argyle had done a lot of research. And even though much of that research was gone after the lighthouse was damaged. But at least one thing is that her son's mother was pretty much alive when she saw her last time was when she was just as a baby. But what was she was looking for? And did she ever found it? And did she return? We don't know. In fact, those three questions, we don't know. I mean, we don't even know what Sonny's mother was even looking for, and if she found it or if she came back home with it. If we had known what Sonny's mother was looking for back in G5, season 2 of Tell Your Tale, well, I am suspicious maybe that was the Earth Pony crystal that Sunny found that her dad had made into this lantern. Well, it's possible that her mother may have found, maybe that she had found some research through some intense research about how the way for this crystal. In fact, we know back in Ricky Mark series, there were a reference that after the magic was gone, the crystals they were split. The Pegasus took theirs, Earthbound took theirs, and Unicorns took theirs. In fact, the only one thing is that the unicorn, the Pegasus crystal went into royal family for generations. In fact, it was part of their royal crown. So they even may had no idea what it was actually about. But If Sunny's mother was the one that found the Earth crystal, the Unity crystal, maybe. But the question is, where did she find it? If she was the one, if it was that she was the one that found it, it's not really much as an answer to that. There are many speculations of where she went, why she was, what she was looking for, and if she found it or what even happened to her. And then there's a question is like if she's even alive. We don't even know that. She might also be dead. And but since somehow Sunny's father Argyle had the crystal even when she was young, so presumably that if Sunny's mother was looking for this particular crystal, so what if? What if that she did find it, brought home with her, and despite how much research that she did, hoping that this could have been a crucial lead how to restore the magic. But without the other two crystals and the unity of all the point kind, even if they had the crystals all together, even if they somehow managed to get the unicorn and Pegasus unicorn, the Unity crystals, which I kind of doubt they would even get the Unity crystal since that at the time was a part of the the crown, which which Queen Haven never took off at any time. You're saying about that part. So even if they would have found all the crystals, I can say right now it's impossible for them to even do anything because even if they had all the free crystals, they were pretty much useless. As long as they weren't know that the unicorn, Earthpool, and Pegasus was united. If they weren't united, the crystals wouldn't work. But it's just one of the few things about this I really have no questions about. Like, is it the thing that the thing that the thing that Sun's mother was looking for could have been the Earth Pony Unity Crystal? Maybe. But if she did find the crystal that brought it home, what happened to her? Maybe she passed away at some point afterwards. Perhaps due from illness, maybe something else, or maybe it's possible that Sunny's mother found the crystal but was unable to send it home because she was perhaps injured by some creature and so that she used some form of sending it back home by mail in the yeah. But let's say this is that if the Sunny's mother would have to find all the crystals, you're saying Sunny's mother were unlikely to even get her hands off or hooves on the Pegasus Unity crystal. It wouldn't have worked. Since that crystal was part of the royal crown from the Pegasus City of Zephyr Heights, and like Queen Haven, she never took it off. So that would have been really difficult to even get on hands on that one. So I really don't know. I have no idea. But it seems that Sunny's parents was actually aware that Sunny would be the one to bring back the magic because Sunny's family, at least from her father's side, had this blanket that was literally had like someone made it and there were figures on it. Sunny as an alicorn and her friends. And that blanket was made like 10 generations back to the time of Twilight's ruling. So how is it even possible for any of that to be even happening? I mean, Celestia and Luna was not even around the time then when Twilight was ruling. I mean, they were retired. So how this family blanket of Sunny could have Sunny and her friends on it, but despite the blanket was made 10 generations earlier, it's a big mystery. Unless somehow unless that Twilight had ability to see far future and had it made and given to a direct ancestor to Sunny, which in the end how the blanket was passed down from generation to generation in Sunny's family, and eventually it was split into three pieces. But the main other question is, since one piece was hidden in a chest in Sefer Brotherwood, but how did the second piece of the blanket end up in Sefer Heights? More correctly, under beneath the throne. Since it's a bit difficult how to even answer that, because we don't know exactly at one point that that blanket was even split into three pieces. It could have been any time. It could have been right after it was made, or maybe after a few generations. It's a difficult to see in that part. I have no idea, but will we may ever get the answer on that one? Personally, I doubt it. There are there were lots of things that we may never actually found about it. They are there are some questions about the series that we may never actually get the much grip on, or at least a basic understanding. The very fundamental of all these questions is to see how things eventually turn out. Because if Sunny, it- I mean, let's say from Arga, if he had seen this blanket, even when he was young, and he realized that one day that one of his family would be the one to bring back the magic. But even when he was young, let's say that when he was a 10-year-old or 20-year-old, when he saw the blanket, without knowing in fact that that particular figure on the part of the blanket would be his future daughter. And not even perhaps if he had known about that, perhaps he knew that one day he would end up having a daughter and she will be the one to bring back the magic. I was just stunned about it. But there's one thing I'm really disappointing of how they somehow that Hasbro decided to kill off Sonic's father way before even that could have happened. But somehow, at least he knew that Sonny would be the one to bring back the magic. So at least that he had the knowledge, at least were at the time fully aware that Sonny was the one that's going to bring back the magic with the help of her friends, new friends. I was really surprised of any of that. In fact, ever since Make Your Mark series and Telltale series has been going on for G5, I'm really surprised of how much, how much they've been giving us more details of how the series has been going on, how much it changed. And one of the things is like two cities that we know of, Merton Bay and Sefer Heights. Two of those places has access to cell phones, internet. Well, that's Brownwood. It's not that much the same, but so the parent turned out that the seems to like on the magic, the point kind to start to developing technology like phones, TV, computers. When I first saw that, I was, what the? Okay, so they have developed this type of things by now. Though it wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, considering that there have been like what, closer to 250 or 300 years since the G4 ending. I wouldn't be surprised of any of that though. It's yeah, it was really surprising how any of that was much happened. I mean, Where's next? Space travel in G5. That would have been something. Like seeing the main sex scene in a rocket, like, fly Merton Bay, and we would be the first one to set our feet on the moon. Oh, that would have been something. What if Luna had left the planet and went to the moon for a vacation or living there permanently? That would be like, oh, hello. Wait, Princess Luna? You've been here the whole time? Yeah, pretty much. How much time has passed? There have been a few centuries. What have you been doing up here? Counting stars, counting moon rocks, eating moon cheese. I mean, what if the main six would had gone to the moon and really find Luna up there in her own house? Like, she has been living up there for a whole the time. Okay, if that is the case, what about Celestia? Don't tell me she has been living on the sun, which I doubt. But if the main six would come to Moon and finding Luna living there in her own small house, I'd be like, okay, she living there. What about her big sister? Is she back on the planet? Or is she also on the moon? Yeah, it's a big mystery of all this. Considering how much on G5 and G4 brought us, I was just, at least hoped there was. I was really glad that they decided to keep doing it from keep going on from G4 on, like continue to be in Equestria since there were places they never actually gone to. There was still left to be explored and all that. But they were actually when even though the G5 and G4 is in the has been taking place in the same universe or at least the same land, but G3, G2, and G1 of Melopony was not even Equestria. In fact, even some of the characters like Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle, Rainbow Dash, they were actually in G3. Though the only difference is that Scootaloo in G3 was more like a baby than from her actual age now. I was, yeah, I was surprised. And I know for at least that the name of the land in G3 was actually Ponyland, not Equestria. And if anyone has suggested, what if that the Scootaloo in G4 was actually a direct descendant of the one from the G3? Well, I have to say, not possible for the G3 Scootaloo to be related to G4 Scootaloo because two different lands, different two genres or two different generations. Yeah, so it's just that, and we know for at least a few characters that did appear or at least reference in there were only a few characters in G5 that did have some reference to G4 characters like Elderflower, which is an elderly unicorn. She's actually related to Moondancer. I was like, whoa, really? Moondancer? But there is another G4 character that also appeared, well, indirect appeared in G5. That was actually Treehugger. Fluttershy's friend, Treehugger, somehow was her face appeared on art. So Treehugger from G4, her face upon appeared in art, like paintings in G5, a Merton Bay of all places. And that Moondancers had her great niece, Elderflower, a unicorn living in Brownwood. I was really surprised of that, even that. And I wasn't even aware that the um Moon Dancer even had a sister. But it turned out she did. So and Elderflowers actually she is the great 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 niece to Moondancer. So Moondancer, well, at least that we know of, Moondancer's sister was eventually married and have a child that eventually would be the four times great uh, niece to Elderflower. Elderflower is like the four times great uh, niece to Moondancer. And when Moondancer appeared in J4, I was like, okay, another old friend of Twilight. But yeah, I was really surprised of that. I mean, the whole thing about G4 and G5 and all that series actually brought a lot of things that many have wondered. Like, what other characters will be seen or maybe being mentioned or referenced in the G5 series? Well, at this point, it's hard to say. At least I know for a fact that G4 is gonna or G5 is gonna bring us a lot more. But there was one small thing I was really disappointing on. Is that they were going to be in uh, upload their second long term special of Tell Your Tale on YouTube only about a few days ago on the 22nd August. But they decided that they were delaying that for some reason. So that's episode may not even be released in August at all, since it's to August 29 now, and just 2 days left of this month. I was I was really surprised of any of this, and though that would not be the first time, since the first special was supposed to be released in March of this year, but it wasn't even until like in early April. And before all this happened, though, I assumed that this each special, when I found out that first was in March, second would have been August, third in November, in October, and the fourth in November. I was like, okay, this could have been like based on a big holiday. I mean, March to this year was in when Easter took in place. So I rule out since they were not even the theme of that. But then it also kind of question: is there any particular major international holiday in August? At least, but not what I am aware of. So, so that meant that the October, the third from this is going to be on October, is that's going to be a Halloween special, and the fourth going to be a Christmas special, because that the G5 Winter Wish Day special was released in November that particular year, and then G4 Best Gift Forever or Best Gift Ever was also released in November, and that is a Christmas special. So I'd assume that maybe those four is gonna be based for one particular uh, major holiday, but it seems not even that's gonna possible. But since the first one was supposed to be in March, turned out to be delayed until early April. The second was supposed to be in August 22nd, turned out to be had been post hold for being delayed for some reason, and it might even be released in September. So if it is not in September, that means that will be in September. And the third, that was supposed to be in October. Well, that the question is like if there's going to be around Halloween or earlier. So if there's a good chance that the third special even be released in may even be released in November, and the fourth one, if I happen guess, if it's not being don't happen to being supposed to being released sometimes near the end of November, well, let's say from this, it's a possibility that may not even be released in November, but in December instead. I mean, it's kind of not unexpected, though, since it happened twice. So why not happen rest of the two times? But I'm though looking forward to the second special. I mean, they hadn't even revealed like the name or at least what's going to happen in it. But the other two, though, same thing. They hadn't even released the official title to the third or fourth special. In fact, I'm curious to see what the others going to be about. I'm really, absolutely, really surprised and curious. So yeah, and wow, 1 hour already. Hmm. I think it's about time for me to end here since I think an hour is so long enough for me to do a stream. I wanted to talk to some people, but seems most of my friends were either asleep or not even home at the moment. I know for a fact that at least Malachite is online, but he is doing something. Game guy is probably asleep, and yeah, so I might just end the stream here soon enough. So I don't know what else to do. I just I felt bored, so I want to decide to do a stream earlier than usual. But it's not like unusual for me since I have done it a few times before, though. At least Brony Dreamer showed up or Arc Wolves. So yeah, I think probably I should end the stream here. So I'm hoping that everyone had a good first day and hopefully will enjoy the rest of the day. So yeah, you may wonder when the next stream will be. Well, as usual, tomorrow on Friday. But what the time or at least type is gonna be, I don't know. I will ask my friends tomorrow if they want to do a game show stream, uh, Mario randomizer, or something else. It's of course up to what they wanted to do. So if it's gonna be a game show stream, it will be about Scooby Doo, since that is the topic that was chosen last time. So yeah. So next game show stream will be about Scooby Doo, which hopefully might be tomorrow or Saturday. It depends. Either from that, I don't know. But even if there won't be a game show stream, might even be a Mario randomizer or something else. It depends on what my friends want to do tomorrow in the stream. So we were actually even talking about doing a smash and pass in after stream. So that will not be in like an actual stream though. But just want to mention it. So yeah, I'm hoping that everyone has so far a good first day and hopefully a good day. So yeah, and as always, everyone, this is Rich W signing off. Bye. And if you see a shooting star, make a wish.